Now, when I think about that, how, and you can't go into deep, complex things.
Okay.
But how do one even start? Do you need like an enormous income to start?
No.
I mean, do we need thousands of dollars to start this portfolio?
No, $25.
McDonald's costs that.
$25 a month. Some companies may ask for $50 a month. That's it. What you put in a savings account, Christmas club account, you're going to put into an investment. A saving is not an investment. It's two different things.
What's the difference?
Saving money means I'm putting the money away, and when I come back, I expect to get it. That makes sense?
Yeah.
And I expect for it to still be there, right? Investing is when I take a kernel of corn and I plant it in the ground. When I come back, I don't expect to get a kernel of corn. I expect to have a stalk. And that stalk's gonna have what? Three ears of corn on it. Well, each ear of corn has about 500 kernels. So I planted one kernel and got 1,500. That's investments. That's where the compound interest comes in. And that's what others have been doing forever. And we were saving money in a bank. The bank has a purpose. When you put money in the bank, what they give you? What kind of candy they give you? Sucker? Why do you think they give you sucker?
Oh.
What do you think the bank's doing with your money?
They invested it.
Thank you.
You can't even
So is their name on the money?
Thanks to her, my podcast.
We got it. Reaching 350 million. They tuning in.
CTR Media Network is now accepting new podcasters to join our growing network that's reaching 350 million global listeners. Have you heard? CTR Media Network offers podcast production, podcast training, distribution, and product placement. Book us for your next event or schedule an interview with CTR Media Network podcasters today. To learn more, go to ctrmedianetwork.com.
Hello, everybody. I am Dr. T&J Ramsay, the host of the Tina Ramsay Show and podcast powered by CTR Media Network. And our show motivates and empowers business owners and entrepreneurs by sharing tips, strategies, and insight for 6 to 8 figure earners. They're here to help you grow. And today we have an amazing entrepreneur in the building that we're able to interview. This amazing entrepreneur is an entrepreneur, a financial strategist, a coach, a public speaker. He has earned a BA in broadcasting journalism and mass communications from the University of South Carolina. He serves as a previous president of the University of South Carolina Black Alumni Council, and he has 8-year experience in television. He also opened his own financial services agency that focuses on preparing people to retire financially, secure, and to leave generational wealth in the event of premature death. He also served a men's ministry for colleagues for entrepreneur and financial services industry, and he is also an ordained minister and a ordained Baptist deacon, I should say, a Baptist deacon, and he is the member of the African American Leadership Council. He also began weekly studies for the men's fraternity in the local men's prison. For those who have been privileged to be under his teaching, he has the gift of taking complex matters and explaining it in such a way in simplicity. And that's why we want to bring him here today, because we're going to be speaking all about finances. And the most thing that I love the most about him, other than all his financial and educational accolades, is that he have been married to his beautiful wife for 36 years, and they have been blessed with 2 beautiful adult children. And he even have time to enjoy basketball, swimming, and movies. So who is this amazing 6-figure entrepreneur? It's none other than Lee Williams. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for inviting me. It's an honor to be here.
Listen, we have been working on this for a while, so it's just such an honor because I really look up to what you're doing. And finances, when we think about finances, most of us, we're afraid.
Yeah.
Especially being African American. That's just not something that's normal conversation in our household. We're taught to struggle, keep working till you retire and work for those bills that you have to pay every month, not necessarily to relax or to retire, but to survive. Okay, we have that kind of in our head. And so the fact that you are on this journey to help us and make it simple so we won't run away.
That's right.
I really love the way that you explained it because I had the privilege of being at an event in which you spoke to, and I was like, I never heard finances broken down like that. So Lee, when I think about your career, because your bio is very impressive, but what stood out to me is that you came from this industry as a TV producer with mass communication, dealing with broadcasting. So what made you shift from TV producer to the financial industry?
Well, I really believe it's a calling. You know, work is when you have to go do something sometimes you don't want to do. But in financial ministry, to me, it's what I was called to do. A lot of times, if you find out what bothers you more than anything else and why, one of your callings is to solve that problem. And I grew up in the projects of Spartanburg, South Carolina. And my father was hardly ever there. It was just my mom and four children. And we went through a lot. And as I got older and started seeing things, I saw a difference in how people were living. Many people were surviving, but some people were living. And I couldn't understand why are some people existing and others are living. What is the secret? What are they doing? And everybody said, go to college, get a good education, get out, get a good job. Well, at that time, I was at Dorman High School in Spartanburg, and I was not going to college. You know, for religious reasons at that time, I was not going to college. I actually got a job with Southern Bell. And I was working with Southern Bell and doing well, making about $18,000 a year back in 1979, right out of high school. I was excited. And I had people say, you need to go to college, get a good education, get out, get a good job. I said, I got a good education. I went to Dorman. I got a good job. I work at Southern Bell. They said, no. So I ended up going to college, you know, went to USC Spartanburg and then transferred to Columbia, USC. Major was broadcast journalism. So I worked at WSPA in Spartanburg and started off as actually a executive producer. My job was to look at now I don't speak that way now, but my job was to look at the language and make sure the grammar was correct and make sure the anchors were reading it the right way and putting the punctuation everywhere. And one day there was a fire and there was no one to cover it. So they said, can you work a camera? Well, I had a Polaroid at the house. You know what I mean? I said, yeah, I can work a camera. So I went out and shot it. Video came back green, like the Hulk. And they said, did you white balance it? Yeah. And then he said, I'll tell you what I want you to do. Come on the weekends and I'm going to teach you how to be a photographer. So then I became an editor and then became a photographer. Came to Columbia, worked at WIS TV, Channel 10, as a photographer, and then eventually became a field producer. But we were doing a story. And the story was about wealth and the disparity, the difference between African Americans and Caucasians. And when I saw that, I just couldn't believe that they made that much more money than we did. And why didn't we know about this? Why is everyone not working on being an entrepreneur? And that's when I said, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to learn how to make money, learn how to save money. And it's not about you, it's about teaching others. And that's when I wanted to give back. And from that, my next business sort of blossomed.
And so you said in 1979, you had a really good job to think about making $18,000 in the 70s. So when the individual was telling you need to have education and more, you were like, what?
Yeah.
Okay. And so what eventually, after you heard that story, it triggered something in you to say, okay, now I know it's a disparity between African Americans and Caucasians.
Right.
And I don't want to be a statistic anymore. So what am I going to do? So from that point on, did you know how you was going to change it?
No.
Did you have anybody that you could talk to?
Not at that time. Okay. Not at that time. No. But the things, you know, how God does it, he begins to open up doors. Mm-hmm. And so what had happened was the guy I was working with at WIS TV, we had done some projects and the company had made a lot of money. And I saw the figures. And so I went and asked for a raise. And thank God they said no. Not just no, but they said no. And it was like, I worked overtime. I've been loyal. I've done everything you've asked me to do. And I want to get married. All I asked for was a little raise. You got the money, but you're saying that to you, I'm not worthy. But the gentleman I was working with was white. He got a raise. And so that's what I said, you choose. And I'm not mad because it's your business, but you choose. I said, okay, no problem. And at that point, I knew I had to go. The television station of the business was, the TV station was A. And if I was going to do something on the side, that was going to be B. Well, your life begins to change when your B becomes your A. And that's sort of what happened. So in my mind, I said, if you don't care about my dreams, and then you become B to me, and I have to create my own A.
That was powerful in the fact that when I think about what actually shifted you, and it was circumstances.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
It was your circumstances current at that time. You were about to have a new wife.
Right.
You knew that you're going to need more income. And when marriage comes, sometimes the babies come behind. You're like, wait a minute, we need to step it up. And then when we think about a person who worked a traditional 9 to 5, which is most people.
Yes.
And it's not anything wrong with that.
No.
But when you think about, you never asked for anything, but you gave so much.
Yes.
And when you finally do have the courage,
right? Because
it takes courage to go to your employer and say, hey, can you give me a raise?
Yes.
And then they tell you an emphatic no with an exclamation point. Not a regular no, but exclamation point, I know, in-depth no. And then you hear about one of your other people that work with you. Yeah. They receive a raise. And you know the numbers. That's why it's so important, you guys, to know the numbers. Yes. To know what you're working with, because he knew the numbers. And when he saw and he asked and they said no, that moment was pivotal. Yes. Because it made you say, my B is becoming my A. Right. And so you didn't know, he didn't have it all figured out, but he knew you needed to make a shift. That's right. And so we're going to leave the 70s. Okay. We're going to go on a journey. Okay. We're going to the 80s. Okay. By this time, you start figuring things out. You found this company. You start building your financial legacy. Yes. Because now we're 30 plus years down the road and you're still doing what you started in the 80s, which is a blessing. Yes. And so what was it? Do you feel like your communication skills, all the past experience that you did with TV producing, do you think that those skills, those soft skills actually help you in the financial industry? Because it's not I feel like it's not an easy industry to kind of transition into. So do you feel that it helped? Without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt. One of the things I learned in television, especially as a photographer, you always zoom in as far as you could away and you focus there and then you zoom back out. If that's the case, everything will be clear. Everything will be focused. So you start with the end in mind and then you just back it out. And so what I looked at was where I want to go and what I want to do. And I didn't want to work for someone else the rest of my life. I probably had 18 jobs before then. And I wasn't a quitter. I maxed them out. And you can tell when you go to work one day and you say, what's next? And the boss looks at you like, huh? You finished what I told you to do? And it's like, okay, it's time for me to leave because you don't have something else for me to do. Exactly. And it's okay. But I maxed out. I learned what I learned. And I knew wherever I was going to take that with me. And so when I came into to financial services, it was very easy for me to think about Jesus and how he spoke in parables and realize that one of the biggest problems is effective communication. I don't care how great of a leader you are, if you can't communicate, you're going to have problems. And since I had grown up and had experienced so many things, my people skills, I call it peopleology. The study of people. I know. It's going to be in a dictionary somewhere. The study of people, And so I began to understand that you just got to meet people where they are and give them what they don't have. And most of them is direction. And so what I did is I got a mentor at that time. I worked part-time and learned the business, understood how it worked. And then at some point I got to the point where I said, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to make that transition. 3 months while I was getting married.
I said, I'm ready to make that transition. My wife said, what? My fiance said, what? Her mother-in-law especially said, what? What is he doing now? And, but it was a step of faith. I knew my work ethic, and I knew that if I could work part-time and make $2,000 a month, which is $24,000. Well, I didn't finish the story. I was making $18,000 in 1979. When I started that television station, the starting salary was $13,500.
What?
Now you got to keep in mind, this was years later. So cause you remember, it's 40 years later, and I started off at $13,500. By the time I left television, I was making about $21,000. So working part-time and making $25,000, in my mind, that's 2 days a week. If I work 4 days, I'll make what? $50,000. It's math. And also it's belief. I believed in the company, what we were doing. I believe in the concept, and I believed in me, and I believe in God. So it's like, how can I fail? And so from that point, we struck out and we went after it, and it worked out.
Talking about a leap of faith, and when I think about numbers, 3 is complete.
Yes.
When you think about 3, and so 3 months before you're married,
yes,
you made all these pivotal moves that really propelled you. And it seems as if when I speak to all the different entrepreneurs,
yes,
they took some sort of leap of faith, something that was, many people would say, a little radical,
right?
Like, should you do that? Is that really logical? But that move shaped your whole life and changed the trajectory of your family. Yes. And so when I think about your leadership, the type of leadership that it would take to do that, and then you having the experience of being an effective communicator, I see that you have, you was a national sales director, and also you with the African American Council, the Leadership Council. So how would you use that experience and leverage that in order to impact the people that you are now helping in the financial industry?
Well, you've said it. Everybody needs a trainer. See, if you want to lose weight and you're not losing weight, you probably don't have a trainer. You don't have the direction, and you don't know exactly what to do. So when it comes to money, many people make emotional decisions. But money is not emotional, so you shouldn't make emotional decisions. We've discovered that with your own money, you'll make emotional decisions, but with other people's, you won't. So what it comes down to is you bring me your problems and I'll show you how to solve it. Because it's not emotional. It's math. It's just simply putting the dots where they need to be and showing you how to follow the directions to get it done. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It makes sense.
And so when that happens, you feel better. The confidence is up. And now you're ready for the what? Next challenge. So we set it up so you have wins, little wins along the way. So when it comes time to the end, it's not a question that you're going to win because you've been winning the entire time. Like a basketball game. If you scored every quarter, if you're scoring points the entire time, even though the other team is scoring, if you're scoring more, you're going to win the game. And in life, you're not competing with anyone else. You compete with yourself. So the key is, how do I get better? How do I get better? What am I after? And most people, if they knew what they wanted, they could get it, but they don't know what they want. And so some of the things we do, we help people with dreams. We help people with their vision. And we sort of show them how to map it out, make it simple, and walk it out.
And you know what? Having a trainer, it can teach you the right questions to ask.
Yes.
Because many times as entrepreneurs or as a regular person that's working 9 to 5 that just want some sustainability, a stable financial future for their family, you just don't know what to ask.
Yes.
And so having somebody that is not emotionally attached, because I never thought about money being an emotional attachment, but it is just like food. So eye-opening, because I never really thought about it. And so when you bring someone in like you who don't have that emotional attachment to it, but that can give you the training, explain why, and make it simple so that the person who's asking for the help don't feel like they're less than they feel dumb. Because one thing, people are like, I'm going to feel dumb, even though I don't know. Don't take away my intelligence that I do have. So the fact that you can make it really simple and then be able to have those small wins to build that confidence that you already know, hey, I just need to keep going.
Yes.
If I Keep going by faith. So when I think about all the different things that you do, your leadership, your impact, your educational background, how you had to take that leap of faith, I hear and I see that you are a strong man of faith to do some of the things that you did.
Yes.
And to do it on the time stamp that you did it right before you getting married and all this other stuff, and seeing everything work out 30 plus years later, still doing it, still thriving. But dealing with the community, community involvement, because you make sure that even though you are a family man, you are an entrepreneur and business person, you make sure that you still give back to the community. Why is that so important? And why do you take the time to build the initiative of the men's ministry or the men's fraternity?
Yes.
You know, and you put a lot of effort in. So why did you decide to take the time to do that?
Well, God didn't bless me for me. That just doesn't make sense. If God bless you and you go in a corner and you just jump up and down and congratulate yourself, he wasted his time, and he doesn't make mistakes. So therefore, there are others that if someone didn't help me, then if I don't help someone else, does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Then they're stuck where they are. And they're good people, a lot of good people, but they just don't know which way to go or who to trust. And so what you have to do is build an environment of leadership development. Is what we did, to where you can come in and we're going to teach you how to be a leader, because you're born to lead. You weren't trained to lead, but you've been born to lead. And we got to walk you through that confidence building that you are a leader, you know. And then it gets to the point to where to learn about finances. Well, math. Most of us, when we came through school, math was not your favorite subject. Well, that's a reason. But math is numbers. So if you don't like math, you don't like numbers, you're going to have financial trouble. Ooh, I know, it's real simple. Also, math is problem solving. When you understand what math really is and you learn to solve problems, money is a reward for helping people solve problems. So the more problems you can help people solve, especially those problems that are important, the more money you would make. But then I don't make the money for me, right? If he increases your money, it's not to increase your spending, but to increase your giving. And money is time is money. So what ends up happening is, to whom much is given, much is required. So yes, you may make a lot of money. But the key is to take the time that you have and use that to help others do what you've done, so that more can be out there helping others do what you've done. That sort of makes sense?
Yeah, because it makes the world a better place, just like the song.
Because everybody is here to relate to someone else. Mm-hmm. But when you get in a survival mode, you're saying, the heck with everybody else. I got to go get it myself. And that's exactly what the devil wants you to do. Mm-hmm. He wants you to isolate yourself away and go get it yourself. And then you think you got it yourself. You must have forgotten that God put everything in place so that we help each other. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes perfect sense. And I love the way that you break it down, especially bringing it home to math. If you don't like math and what that really means. And so it took me being an adult that I really started liking math. And that was only after I started teaching my kids math for homeschooling, because I was like, okay, I have to get this together.
Yes.
And I would have never thought in a million years that I would have become a math tutor.
Wow.
Because I hated math with passion, right? Bad experiences with school, but then I came to love it. And you're right. It's just a simple process of solving problems and understanding how the number and numbers.
Yes.
Numbers don't lie. Numbers stay. It's consecutive. You can, once you understand the sync of them, it has a rhythm. And you can keep it going. So,
can I say something?
Sure.
If the devil came to kill, steal, and destroy, if we don't like math, problem solving, and numbers, it's not us that he's after, it's our assignment. You can't walk out and complete your assignment. Somewhere it says, if you can't handle money, how are you going to handle the real wealth, which is people's lives? That's scriptural. Mm-hmm. If you can't handle mammoth, if you can't handle money, earthly stuff, how are you going to handle people's real lives? because it's stewardship. And God created the money. He's the source, we're the resource, and we're supposed to use it to build. He knew people were going to have money trouble. There's over 2,000 scriptures that deal with money and money issues and possessions and stewardship. So I've got to get better in order to be the right type of person I'm supposed to be. And he's going to bless me because he said, to whom much is given, much is required. And if you're faithful with a little, he'll give you more.
Exactly. So I love how you broke all of that down. And so for all my kids and parents out there who don't like that, I'm looking at you, I'm talking to you. Start changing your mindset now and understand that you can do it. You are capable. And once you start seeing that, you start loving it.
Yes.
And then you understand how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I love math.
Yeah.
All right, because I understand and things are like, woo! I'm like, why didn't I see this years ago? But I'm so grateful that I can see it now. And so it's very impressive, everything that you're doing. And we're hearing all the successes that you have had and that you will continue to have because you understand the operation of how God flows and how money flows.
Yes.
But every entrepreneur at some point, they run through a challenge or something that they didn't think was going to happen, even when things was going well, something, because the enemy just don't like to see God's work going on, right? And so have you ever faced any type of challenge?
What? What? To be successful, you have to fail. But failure is not final. It's only when you quit is it final. Success does not go this way and failure goes that way. But success goes this way and failure goes this way. You failed, you get back up. That's what makes you successful. You lost and then you win. When is a win a loss? When you learn from it. How many players have lost a game and the rest of the team went in the locker room, but they stayed on the court and watched the other team celebrate? And watching this, they're going, this will never ever happen again. and that's what it's about. When is a loss a win? When you make the adjustment and you move forward from that. So yes, financial trouble, people quitting, changing, doubting yourself every now and then, another challenge. Life is that's what life is. You have a plan and life will always come up between you and your plan. But you have to know you're ready for it. You know, what you think is a problem, God is smiling. And this is what he says to me. I've already given you what you need. Find it and use it. In other words, when things happen, most people look at what they need. Well, we should focus on our seed, not your need. He's already given you the seed to grow to solve the problem. You want the problem solved, you know. You want the problem solved, you know. It doesn't happen that way.
That's true. That is so true because all entrepreneurs. So that's why I want the audience to understand that we all gonna have. It's part of the process.
Yes.
You can't have one without the other. And the point is we don't give up. We keep going. We keep thriving, and we keep continuously finding the solution to the problem. But like you said, we have the seeds within us. We just have to keep working at it.
Can I say one more time?
You can say.
I want to use this because today was the day we talked about the Sabbath. Mm-hmm. And even God created the Sabbath for animals and for land. You know, you plant for 6 years and in the 7th year, you don't plant. But what he gave you is a bumper crop in the 6th year to carry you through the 7th year. And by not planting that 7th year, you allow the ground to rejuvenate and get stronger. So when you came to plant the 8th year, it was richer and it was deeper. If you think about life, COVID, as much as you hate it and we lost people and things happen, God's going to do what he's got to do to heal the earth. And when that happened, the earth got stronger. Because people were not running, they were not greedy, they had to slow up, they spent time with family. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And you rejuvenate. And I say that because in business, for those that are trying to get started and going through it, you have to understand that there's good times and bad times. It happened with Joseph. During the good times, you got to store up because bad times, it's no question Bad times are coming. People think that all no. We have good months and bad months. But when you have a good month, you don't spend it all. You have to learn how to store and put it up. And so because he sends us these bumper crops. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
In entrepreneurship, you might not make as much as you want every month. But on the third month, you may be blessed with, we blessed with 4 or 5 times what you normally make. Right? And then 2 more months, it may just be average. And then another month, so you have to learn how to take what he's blessed you with and store it for bad times. And that's how you get through it.
Yeah, that's that bumper crop.
Yeah.
I can use that bumper crop analogy. And so right now we're speaking a lot. You remind me so much of the Bible where it talks about how Jesus spoke in parables. Without speaking in illustration, he would not speak to the people.
Yes.
And so that's what I love about how you speak about finances. Something that is you think is too complex. You have a unique gift of making it very simple. Very, very simple. So when I think about your role as an ordained Baptist deacon, how has your faith, we hear you talking about it, but how has your faith and value system played an influence in your professional journey as well as the way that you make decisions as an entrepreneur? Do you put your faith to the side when you're doing your business, or do they go together? How do you maneuver that?
Our priorities in my life, in my family, is faith comes first. God comes first. Then comes your family, and then comes your finances. And we keep that in that order. That doesn't mean that I don't spend time with my family or spend time in the business. And a lot of people say, well, where's God? God is in it all. I wouldn't have any of it if it wasn't for him. But my business kicked off when my wife joined me in business, because it shows unity. It is called equally yoked. We don't do the same things. We're two totally different people, but we learn how to work together. It was rough at times, but you learn how to work together because we complement each other, and that's what you're supposed to do. What I do is not what she does, and what she loves to do is not what I love to do. So the key is to get together and figure out the roles and how we're going to play it, and that's what we were able to do to get the business going. So faith, family, and finances.
Speaking of relationships,
yeah.
since you brought it up, let's dive a little bit more into it, because when you look at different people who talk about entrepreneurship and they talk about the journey, there are some people that say that being in a relationship, entrepreneurship is the death of a relationship. And then some people, they say, no, it's not, the entrepreneurship is not the death of a relationship. It actually helps. So with 36 years of marriage,
yes,
being in business over 30 plus years,
yes, what
is your observation, your real life experience with this? Do you feel that the theory or what they're saying is true?
All right, listen. Money makes you more of what you already are. If you had planned on leaving your wife, when you make more money, you leave. You going to Vegas, you leave it. It doesn't change your decision. It just speeds it up. And so I would say this. It's important that you come together and you grow together. If we're both here and I'm the entrepreneur and I grow here, that's not the same conversation that we were having here. And if you didn't help me grow there, but you talked about me the whole time I was trying to grow there, you got to be a strong person to give back. So what ends up happening, we don't grow apart, we grow together. So I'm going to share with everybody else, but I got to share with my wife. I got to share with her what I'm sharing with everybody else. She travels with us. We were she became my business partner. She saw things I didn't see and saved our business and our marriage plenty of times. Because I'm looking, I'm zeroing in, and she's looking at the details around and saying, hey, this don't look right. I said, and then finally it's like, okay, that don't look right. And so listen, Listen to your partners, but don't leave your partners. You want to grow and grow together. Otherwise, you're in two different worlds. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And I can concur with you. I don't feel that being an entrepreneur, because I don't have 36 years yet, but me and my husband and I are 22 years.
Congratulations.
And yeah, I'm proud of it. Because I'm grateful to God for it. And so it is true. And my husband, we're business partners. And he, just like your wife, he sees things that I don't see.
Right.
Because I'm laser focused on whatever it is that I'm doing. And I'm keeping my eye on the target, eye on the prize. And he sees all the things that's on the side of the road and all the holes, the pitfalls. Yeah. He sees it and goes, move with caution.
That's right.
And I'm like, what? No, we can go fast. No, slow down. So I really see that. But the key is that you gave a good tip, because you do hear about people breaking up, but they start working apart. They start drifting. And you gave that analogy or that example of you're here and they're there. You're not having the same conversation.
Right.
And so you need to make sure that as you are growing as an entrepreneur, you need to bring them along so they can understand, because it's a whole different language.
Totally.
It's a whole different conversation when you're an entrepreneur.
Yes.
And you need to teach them that new language, that new mindset, because you're no longer the person they married.
Right.
If you start entrepreneurship after you get married, you're no longer that person.
Right.
So you have to reintroduce yourself, because now you're renewed.
Yes.
But you don't want to leave them. And so the fact that you took the time and now you're doing two different things, because my husband and I do two different things in this industry, but we learn how to make it work. Mm-hmm. And I compliment him. He compliments me on how I do things. And so it goes back to that threefold cord. You, your mate, and God, the Holy Spirit. Yep. So I tell people it's only 3 people in our marriage. So you trying to get into this, it's only 3. My husband, myself, and God. That's it. We don't need anybody else in our little situation, And so I hear that with you. So that's a great, great tip. So FYI, entrepreneurship, don't break up your marriages unless you allow it to. You have to make that decision. So when we're talking about, let's talk about sustainability. Okay. Because the economy has changed dramatically.
Yes.
We're shifting into a new time in history.
Yes.
Where it's no manual, no instruction, but it almost feels like you're living out Star Trek. Everything you're typing, the phones and all that. You're like, wait a minute, they were trying to tell us we was going to have all these computers and AIs and all this stuff like 40, 50 years ago. So in the financial realm, where money is not always paper, now we're having digital. How are you using that to leverage? And how is it, how should I say it? Is it benefiting? You see the benefits in the new digital currency, and how are you helping people in the financial realm to be able to not be afraid of things transitioning? We're going to still use money, paper money, gold, silver, but do you have other things that you're helping them to see? Because it's nerve-wracking to see, for the older generation, to see everything going digital.
But in life, there are changes, but it rolls back around. It's seasons. Mm-hmm. You're going through seasons, and you have to make the adjustment to get through the season, but many times it returns back. So the key is to just know that it's in God's hands, and don't try to get rich quick, because that's not scriptural. Mm-hmm. So it's steady plotting. It's still time and consistency, because the time and consistency is what builds the confidence, the strength, and the faith. Mm-hmm. We go from glory to glory. We go from faith to faith. And you can't do that if you're trying to jump over the mountain. You got to learn how to move it, and we got to pray. So you talked about what happened with my wife. Praying together allows you to stay together, because prayer changes things. And what ends up happening, and many times we don't do that because it depends on your life. Many times the women might have been stronger faith-wise because we were working and they were praying. And so the man can feel intimidated sometimes about praying because his wife prays better than he does, if you will, communicates better than he does. So what she has to do is allow him to pray. It's time to pray for food. Let them pray. It's time to pray for blessing to travel. Let them pray. It's time to pray at night. It's time to have a situation. And then if she prays and he prays, you can pray together. I don't know why some people think you got to do the whole prayer. You can pray a little bit, and I can pray what I want to say to God inside of this prayer, and then we can come back and close it out. So you do things together, and it keeps you together. And then your children see that. Daddy praying, daddy going to church, There's a whole story behind if dad gets saved first, that the majority of the family will always go to church and be saved.
That's true.
And so there's some stories behind the leadership that has to take place, even though the female might have been in the past, Big Mom, she was a praying woman when we were in the field. So there's a reason why there was supposed to be a separation, because if you ever want to kill a race, if you ever want to mess up the roles, change the roles, and you'll change society.
And go back in history and see what happened with us as a whole in the 70s when started taking Black fathers out of the home.
Yeah.
With the different rules.
Yeah.
And right now we're still feeling the blunt as a whole. I personally, my father and mother, blessed to have them still together. And I grew up with my father and mother, but that is not
the norm.
No, that's not the norm. And so as a whole, we can see what's going on with our children as a whole, what's going on with women and boys and the roles. And we can just see it. So
confusion.
It's a lot.
Well, with absentee fathers, then how will the son learn how to be a man?
You can't.
He's learning from a woman. Yeah. And not saying that's a bad idea, because many women have done an awesome job. But remember, the devil's not after him. He's after his assignment. He had an assignment. If I can mess him up and mess up his thinking and mess up his mind, his assignment will be, and God will find somebody else to do it. But my son was supposed to do that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
My daughter was supposed to do that. So they got to see that. They got to see that operation inside the house, the order of how God intended the family to be.
And that's the structure when you think about how we maneuver finances as a whole. It is from the construction of how we saw it done in the family.
Ooh.
Our money issues is the root of how we was brought up. Now you saying, ooh, so what are you oohing? Because I want to know what you're thinking.
No, you're right. If our parents were survivors, they taught you how to survive. Exactly. They couldn't teach you how to thrive. Work ethic. And we started talking about that. Well, here's what we were taught. We were taught to be employees. Mm-hmm. Employees follow instructions and keep your mouth closed because you're afraid to get fired. So you don't say nothing to do something you ain't supposed to do unless you that employee. Then ain't gonna be that long. And there's two ways. They're gonna fire you, or you're gonna max out. You're gonna realize this jar is too small to keep you. You're hitting the ceiling and you got to go somewhere else. But reality is, most of us were taught to be laborers. Slavery is physical labor. Mm-hmm. We take pride in working hard. Well, if you go back and ask people, they're not talking about mental work. They're talking about physical work. So here was the transition with me. I had worked physically hard and saw where it got me. And I said, this ain't working, right? So why are they making more money? Mental money is more than physical money.
That part.
Yeah. Physical money is labor. Okay, see, work ethic was not an issue with me. You ain't gonna scare me or intimidate me about that. Work ethic wasn't my issue. Once I maxed that and got an A, I said, Lord, what's next? And it's mental money. In other words, instead of using your body, start using your mind now. Oh, if you use your mind, you'll make more money, because most people are mentally lazy. They don't want to, because you were trained. Follow instructions. You ain't got to think. Follow instructions. The one that's thinking became an entrepreneur. The one that's thinking have his own business. Because he said, you're not going to tell me not to think. I got some ideas. And many people gave their whole lives to the company they work for. And the company took all the ideas. What's his business is like? The company took all the ideas, and the company became wealthy, and then discarded the person after a certain age.
And bye-bye.
Yeah. When they actually could have worked on a job and started their own business. And this is what we encourage. See, whoever receives the profits from a slave is going to be wealthy. Go to the plantation owners. Sun up, the sun down. If you're going to work the sun up, the sun down, and I'm receiving the profits, I'm going to be wealthy. So when they killed slavery, they put you on a job and cut it to 8 hours. You can't be wealthy working 8 hours. It's sun up to sun down. So what you were supposed to do after you worked in their plantation, land change, then after you got off, you should have went and put 4 hours into your garden to make sure you building your plantation. But instead, I'm tired. This is my day off. Well, you're going to be working for the rest of your life for somebody else. But our mom and dad, great-grandparents, they worked from sun up to sun down. And the plantation owners became wealthy because of their labor. If that's the case, why don't you get it? You can work half a day. That's 12 hours. They ain't going to kill you. Bro, 8 hours, I'm done. You broke. You just made enough to pay some of your bills some of the time. And to pay your tax. You broke. And then you got to go to work to do it again. And you do it for 40 years. The only people that did something for 40 years in the Bible were the Israelites. And they were lost.
Yep, they were. So when you think about all of that, what you just said was powerful. And that is going to hit the heartstrings of many people, because to hear it, we kind of knew it, because you know how sometimes you know stuff,
yeah.
But it's different when you hear somebody put the words to it. You're like,
you know you should be doing more.
Yeah.
You know you don't make enough doing what you're doing. How you gonna just sit there and just go to work the next day and act like you got the same job?
And then you
got the same job. You got the same job next year. You worked a whole year and didn't get a raise. Tell me how that works. You worked a whole year and everything went up and you didn't get a raise. And you sign up for another year. Mm-hmm. And you don't think that's slavery?
Yes.
The only difference is that when they sold slaves, you had slavery papers. They said, this is Lee, and they read off who he was, and how much you gonna give me, how much you want. You walk in today with your own slavery papers. It's your resume. Oh. And you say, here I be, what you think, how much you give it. And the bargain starts. And then after a year, you bargain again. At some point, for you that are ready, you've got to say, I'm worth more than that. And you don't stop mastering what you're doing. You don't stop doing what you're doing. You do that and you do more. Does that make sense?
You do that and then you do more. Meaning, we're not telling you to quit your job.
No.
We're telling you to work your job.
Yes.
And then you come home and work those 4 hours on your future.
There you go.
Work down your future. Because the economy, how it is now, you need to keep your job. Not unless you have so much money saved up that you can live off of it. Most people don't have that.
Yes.
So you need to work your job, but then come home and not Netflix and chill. You need to do the work on your building up your legacy. And if you don't know the information, you need to get with people who can help you and train you. So speaking about this building of wealth, it becomes very elusive to most people. It seems like a fantasy world, some kind of Marvel movie. Like, we love Wakanda Forever, the movie, seeing all that wealth, black power, but really?
Yes.
How do we get real people to they Wakanda?
Okay. Most people are visual, which means they've got to see it.
Yeah, they do.
Hearing it, man, I ain't heard a word you said. They've got to see it because they're visual. So you have to be able to show them what we're talking about. And, so, for example, if I ask you, when you retire, how much income would you like to have every month to be able to pay your bills and also enjoy your life? If you told me $5,000 a month, then you add 2 zeros, then you're going to need about $500,000 in your account before you retire. You should only work max 20 years for somebody else. You're working for money, and then money starts working for you. In other words, I see where I'm going. I'm 18. By the time I'm 38, I should have enough money invested and saved to where the return off of my money pays me my salary. So now I'm working for money, but now my money's working for me, so I can choose to do whatever I want to do. I can get another job, I can stay on the job, but I'm not working for money anymore. You don't have control over my life anymore. I'm doing it because I love to do it versus I have to do it. Because I'm making a salary that I talked about 20 years ago, and I spoke it into existence, and now it's happening. It's not an accident. It's intentional. It's by design. And since other people understood math, they mathed it out.
So when I think about, let's piggyback to go back to, we talked about the who, the what, the when, the why, the where, and we're talking about getting more depth into how they're doing that. And you you gave a good strategy.
Yes.
If you have an 18-year-old, and by the time they get 38, you work 20 years.
Yes.
Your money, you're working for the money at that point.
That's right.
And then at 38, mentally, still a young man, still a young woman. Now you have the financial freedom.
Yes.
You don't have the mindset of struggle.
Right.
Because now you don't have to work.
Yes.
You work because you want to work if you choose to do so. And then you have the leverage to be able to make your money start working for you.
Yes.
So people who are not familiar with that terminology, what is something simple to explain how money works for you?
Okay. Military. Mm-hmm. Don't they put in 20 years?
Yeah.
And then don't they retire?
Teachers too.
Thank you. see, the system was already there. Just people didn't understand what they were saying. Unfortunately, if you're a teacher or maybe in the military, you might not make enough doing that. So your retirement for most people that are going to be okay includes disability. You know, they got something else going on outside of just getting a piece of your money. That's because you should never depend on a company for your retirement. No.
That's a different concept for the general population.
No, that's not their job. Their job is to make a profit doing what you're doing for them. Their job ain't to take care of your finances and your money. That's a financial expert job. And so my job is to show people you should have your retirement on your job and you should have your retirement outside your job. You see that? Mm-hmm. So if you need to have that $500,000, you might have had $250,000 on your job, but you got $250,000 outside your job. And chances are the $250,000 that we can do outside your job will probably be more than the $250,000 on your job because the rate of return can be high. They've got to be conservative on your job. They lose your money, you're mad, aren't you?
Yeah.
All right, so that's conservative. So they're not making aggressive investments. But you need that based on what you're talking about doing in 20 years. You can't be in the slow lane. You can't be in the emergency lane.
So I can't go in the right lane. I got to be in the left, the fast lane.
You got to be passing people. Otherwise, you're going to be just like everybody else. And I'm not comparing yourself with them, but you told me 20 years. You told me you wanted to be there at 38. Now, we can go to 48 or 58. That's your choice. That's a different speed.
Okay.
So if you're ready to get it done, and I just looked and I said, I want to enjoy my life. So let me go ahead and work it. Let me go ahead and get it done, get it out the way so we can have the time. Most people want money, but they don't realize money without the time, you don't have the health or you don't have the time, the money does you no good. So what you really want is money and time to enjoy it.
So with your financial agency, you help people to retire financially secure.
Yes.
And to leave something not only for them to be financially secure, but most importantly, leave something for the generations
right.
behind.
Yes.
Now, when I think about that, how, and you can't go into deep, complex things.
Okay.
But how do one even start? Do you need like an enormous income to start?
No.
I mean, do we need thousands of dollars to start this portfolio?
No, $25.
McDonald's costs that.
$25 a month. Some companies may ask for $50 a month. That's it. What you put in a savings account, Christmas Club account, you're going to put into an investment. A saving is not an investment. It's two different things.
What's the difference?
Saving money means I'm putting the money away, and when I come back, I expect to get it. That makes sense?
Yeah.
And I expect for it to still be there, right? Mm-hmm. Investing is when I take a kernel of corn and I plant it in the ground. When I come back, I don't expect to get a kernel of corn. I expect to have a stalk. And that stalk's going to have what? Three ears of corn on it. Well, each ear of corn has about 500 kernels. So I planted one kernel and got $1,500. That's investments. That's where the compound interest comes in. And that's what others have been doing forever. And we were saving money in a bank. The bank has a purpose. When you put money in the bank, what they give you? What kind of candy they give you? Suckers?
A sucker.
Why do you think they give you suckers?
Oh,
What do you think the banks know with your money?
they invested it.
Thank you.
You can't even
So
go
is their name on the money? Yeah. Couldn't you have a savings account and then have an investment account?
Yes, you could. Oh, see, now why they don't teach us this in school?
Because if you did that, you'd be wealthy.
Oh,
And
wow.
that changes things.
We don't like to think about premature death. So what is that facet of what you do with your financial agency that brings us to that place emotionally to deal with it?
Yeah.
So that our family won't have to be doing no GoFundMes and ask them, can we get a loan so we can bury Uncle such and such and such and such and such,
Yes.
which is common.
Sure.
So what made you decide to add that element into your what you're doing? Because it's necessary.
Yes.
So what made you do that?
My father died when I was in high school, 11th grade. And my dad had a policy for $10,000. Well, my mom buried him with $4,000. $6,000 was left. In 2 months, the $6,000 was gone. There's 4 children in the family. So what is mom supposed to do now? My dad worked in a mill, my mom worked in a mill. Now that my dad's income is gone, what is my mom supposed to do with 4 children? Who can answer that question? Well, she had to go get another job. But then she worked in a cotton mill. She had 2 jobs in a cotton mill. Worked from 3 to 11 and went to another job from 12 to 8. The doctor said, you got to stop because that's going to kill you. So then the next option was another husband. And guess what? That almost killed her too. Okay. So we had to get rid of him, right? Stepdad, right? It just didn't make sense. So then my brother drops out of high school and gets a job in a mill trying to make ends meet. All of this because my dad had a what? A $10,000 policy. He had a whole life policy. He had a cash value policy. Yeah. Well, it's burial insurance. Black people didn't buy life insurance. They thought they were buying life insurance. You're buying burial insurance. Burial insurance is for you to be buried with. Life insurance means it's enough money for the rest of the family, the wife and the children forever. And you're supposed to leave an inheritance, not for your children, but for your children's children. So you were supposed to put enough away where the children can't run through it. That's where the prodigal son came from. He came back. He had more than enough. Why? Because he knew. You give somebody money that don't have money, what do you think they're going to do with it? They don't understand. They're going to run through it. So you got to set it up in a trust or whatever, a will. You got to put things together to where they can't mess up the money, but they're going to live off the interest.
That's powerful.
So we believe in income protection. Not life insurance, next level. Protect his income. If something happened to your husband, you still need his what? So don't talk to me about no 10, 15,000. What are we talking about? Ain't nobody. You got 250,000. Are we gonna have a problem burying him? So don't talk to me about that. Talk to me about the end. How do you want this thing to turn out? You paying for money. You want to pay for 10,000, or you want to pay for 250,000? Well, 250,000 will cost me a lot. We spend $30, $40 a month for 250,000. What are you talking about? Mm-hmm. But they don't understand. So we break it down and explain the difference of how insurance works. We got it. And then once they understand, they make a wise decision, not based on what the agents say, but what makes sense to them. They need income protection. His income needs to be protected. Your income needs to be protected. That's not burial insurance. That's another level. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's really putting the secret sauce onto what legacy really is.
Yeah.
Because now you're thriving, not surviving.
Yeah.
Because most families, they're not preparing for premature death. And frankly, they don't even want to talk about it. And then they're underinsured. They don't have enough. They can't even cover the mortgage. They can't cover the car. They can't cover food. They can't cover unexpected sickness.
Ooh. Why they don't want to talk about it? Because there's lack of money. It's fights. You come to the house, it's 5 children, big mama die, and then, okay, what you got? You remember? Send all the children outside to play. This is normal. Yeah. And then the grown-ups have a conversation. And you're talking about money that you don't have. And now you need to bury mama with 10,000 and you're going around the room. You need 2,000 from you. And all of a sudden, the married couple that might be doing okay, might just they say, sis, you got me, sis. And the husband look at you like, well, and then they say, you ain't even part of the family. You this ain't your mom. Come on. And then all of a sudden, get the children. And y'all walk. And you never speak again for 20 and 30 years because somebody had burial insurance instead of income protection. But now we got income protection. It's $1 million worth of coverage. It's 5 children. Divided by 5, that's $200,000 a piece. You think they're going to come in here with an attitude. We ain't talking about what you got. No, we're reading the wheel.
Saying what you're going to get.
You're going to have to dress up to come and get your money from the wheel. You're going to have to look presentable. You're going to have to act right because there's somebody over that that's monitoring you supposed to do what you're supposed to do. You ain't mad. Dad died. That's emotional. You're going to miss him emotionally. You're going to miss him physically. You're going to miss him spiritually and everything else. But financially, you shouldn't miss him. He prepared for this. The Bible said, go get your house in what? Order. Then get your house in order and stop acting like somebody's supposed to do this. Go fund me. Go fund yourself.
Exactly. So we heard the scenario. You gave us tips and strategies for someone that is 18 to 38.
Yeah.
Okay, so someone that's watching this video, they may be in their 40s, their 50s. Do they still have a chance?
Yes. Years and years. 45 to 65. Years and years. 40
to 50 to 60 still have a chance.
They have a better chance because you've got money in your 401k plan. You've got money in your retirement plan. So you've already got a start. Now it's just a matter of the increase in that. And chances are, if your children are gone, you can now save more money. Did you follow me?
So the youngins, and now the older ones, or some people like say seasoned.
Yeah.
We have a chance as well because I was like, well, I'm hearing all this about the young people. Now, what about the ones 40, 50, 60? They feel like we need a chance too because we're just hearing this for the first time.
Yes, ma'am, I got you. They have a better chance, but at the same time, let's not be selfish. You still have an assignment from God to leave an inheritance for your children's children. So if you left $250,000 worth of coverage, $250,000, and then you had $250,000 in your investment. So then they also, you didn't spend that when you living off the interest. They got that as well. And then you had a home, didn't you? So there's $250,000 from the home. And then you had a business. And the business was making about $20,000, $25,000 a month. Otherwise, why are you starting a business? If you're going to make $5,000, $6,000, keep your job. You're starting a business to be able to accumulate. You want to be fruitful and then what? Multiply. So the multiplying is about $20,000, $25,000 a month. That's another $250,000. So $250,000 from income protection, $250,000 from real estate, $250,000 from your investment, and $250,000 from your business. You just died, and your children just became a millionaire the next day. You working to try to get $1 million. You died, but you set your family up where they became millionaires the very next day.
Wow.
And it's structured to where they can't run through the money. They can only live off the wealth.
You guys, you gotta tell God thank you for this interview. That He just dropped the mic and gave you some blessing. All age groups can benefit from this, okay? And so, what legacy? Lord, I can't even compose myself. What legacy do you hope to leave behind? Because you're sharing all this different knowledge. I know you implement this with your family first.
Yes.
But also you have people that's up under you with your agency, financial agency.
Yes.
So and you have the ministry work.
Yes.
And the community work.
Yes.
So what else does Lee want to leave behind as his legacy?
I'm good. I mean, I, to be honest with you, I have peace. I'm not finished because he's not finished with me. But I have peace. And people always say, what are you doing next? I said, next. I mean, who quits their business and go, what are you going to go do? I mean, now I'm with a company that will buy the business back from me. So whatever you are making, they would give you 8 to 10 times that. It's like a McDonald's. You can sell it back, or you can pass it on to my wife. I can pass it on to my children. It's not a gimme. Let me just make some money. It's a business. It's a legal business that you can pass on to the next generation, or we can sell it back to the company. You see what I'm saying? That's why I got involved with it, to where they would pay me 10 times what I was making. And then I can use that to set up legacy for the next generation. But my wife and my children, they're all licensed and a part of the business as well. They understand it. They all are not doing it because I want them to follow their own dreams. But when it comes time to unite and bring the family back together, we're going to be on the same accord doing the same thing.
All right. That's powerful. And what I heard you said is peace.
Yes.
I put a post out and I said, peace is priceless. Peace. And only a select few of people understand those three little words. Peace is priceless. And when you have peace,
yes,
there's no amount of money that can, and they're like, Tina, how do you feel? I said, I'm at peace.
Yes.
When you're at peace, that's a gift. And he's going to help you. Don't have peace.
Yeah.
The financial, he'll help you get that way. So when we're thinking about the entrepreneurs and the business owners that's watching the show today,
yes,
because you are a six-figure owner, God bless you because you was a good steward of your gifts and being able to manage and multiply, and most importantly, being able to wrap around and be able to help others to understand, to not be afraid, to walk by faith, and also make good decisions with money that's not emotional.
Right.
So what advice would you give aspiring entrepreneurs or business owners that may want to go into entrepreneurship? They may already be in entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And they may be having financial, I say they money looking a little
challenges,
you know. What would you tell them to do?
My name is Lee Williams and I'm a brokenhearted. No matter how hard I work, I seem to keep coming up broke. Confession. Just admit, everybody knows it. You just acting like you don't think everybody knows you're struggling. The bottom line is this. You're not meant to do everything. Okay, I'm a great cook. I want to open up a restaurant. Okay, who's your hostess? Who's managing the restaurant? Who's running the money? See, if you're going to be doing it all, you ain't going to be cooking. So the key is to understand the E-myth, the entrepreneurship myth. You're thinking that you're going to be doing everything. That makes no sense. What you have to do is get in a circle, find some people that do what it is you don't do, and you pay them to do that. So guess what? I have to make more money now because I got to pay someone else to cut my gas. I have to make more money now if I'm going to pay someone else to wash my car. So what happens if you pray about it? He will increase, and then you can bless others. So by employing other people, how you knocking that? Well, you need to cut your own grass. You need to shut up. I cut grass growing up. I washed dishes growing up. I did all of that. Done. Check mark. Not trying to impress anybody else with that. There's someone else that loves to do that and can do it better than I can. I want to bless them. Let me bless them. I want to bless you today. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. So thank you so much, Ali, for allowing us to sit down with you and have this heart-to-heart conversation about finances, also sharing with us a little bit about your life and the ups and downs that are common as part of being a successful entrepreneur. Also diving a little bit into your personal life, dealing with, is it really true? Do entrepreneurship break up marriages? And you really explaining as a person in a relationship how your mindset needs to be.
Yes.
So before we close out, is there any book that you would recommend someone need to read that's not a hard reading book or quote or anything?
Well, in my business, we got this book called Books of Appointments. Whatever business you... Business is about people and people, numbers and people. You have to set your numbers. You have to find the people. You're marketing. You've got to book people to do business with you. And most people waiting on someone to call them, they're not calling. They're not going to knock on your door and say, hey, no, you've got to go find them. So this is what I say to you. When you're traveling and doing something, don't think God sent you to the store to get a loaf of bread. You cannot think God sent you to the store to get a loaf of bread. No, you're going to meet somebody in the parking lot, in the store, the cash register. They need what you have and you need what they have at all times. You got to be thinking, how can I help you? How can I make you feel good? How can I bless you? And then in turn, the blessing comes back. So always know everywhere you go, there is someone 3 feet away from you that needs what you have, but you haven't said anything, so they can't help you.
Wow.
We got to talk. We have to communicate.
Love it. And it's taking us back. This interview started with you talking about your background with your BA in communications and TV broadcasting, and we are ending it with communication. So if you didn't get anything else, financial and communication and learning to open your mouth. So I think that this is a good way for us to end this conversation. Make sure to check Lee out. We're going to have information in the description of this video where you can click to find out more, where he's going to send you where he wants you to go in order for you to learn more about his financial agency and be able to break things down for you with his agency. Is there anything else you would like to say?
No, I'm just blessed, and I thank you for the opportunity to share, and I pray that the Holy Spirit has already gone before us and opened up some hearts and minds and said it's time. You're sick and tired of being sick and tired. It's time to change. This is your year. Let's go do it.
Love it, love it, love it. And I want to make mention of our sponsor for this episode, which is Anna L. Brothers from the Jazzy Jewel Collection. As you can see, if you want to be dazzled and look your best and to impress, honey, go to Jazzy Jewels Collection. As you can see, I'm wearing the jewelry right now. Our show is really supported by amazing entrepreneurs and business owners just like you who want to see our show thrive and grow. So thank you, Anna L. Brothers, for being this episode's sponsor. You can get in contact with her at 708-903-1082. That is Anna L. Brothers on all social media platforms. And her website is thejazzyjewelscollection.com. Thank you for being this episode's sponsor of the Tina Ramsay Show. Lee, thank you.
You're welcome.
It was my pleasure. You guys, you know what I always say. If no one told you today that you matter, that you are worthy, and that you are valued, I'm here to tell you that I love you, I value you. And I am going to say goodbye until next time. We'll see you next week, same time, same place. Because remember, it's time for you to come share, shine, and grow. What? On the Tina Ramsay Show. See you next time.